Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. As you can see, I'm not by myself. I got my man Malcolm right here. How you doing, sir? How you doing?
Doing really good, man. Doing really good, pretty good.
Thank you so much for being here, man. I really, really do appreciate it. We are running through these Oscar nominated films, guys, and I'm very, very excited. As you can see from the thumbnail, the title, the background, and the banner. This is Elvis. This is Elvis. This is Elvis. This is the life of the American music icon, Elvis Presley, from his childhood to becoming a rock and movie star in the 1950s while maintaining a difficult lifestyle and career. This is going to contain slight spoilers. Excuse me. But let us know in the comment section what you think about this film, if you liked it, if you hated it, if you're somewhere in between. Malcolm does not know how I feel about this film. He doesn't know how I feel about it, but we're definitely going to talk about it. We're definitely going to talk about it. We want to know how you feel about it as well. And before we get started, I just want to let you know that if you do want an audio only version of this, there's a link to that in the description box below with buzzsprout.com. I am on all of these platforms right here, as well as SoundCloud as well, if you do want to get your audio only version. Now, Malcolm, I remember when this, of course, hit theaters last year. It didn't really pique my interest. It didn't. And I don't know why. I think I was biased against Elvis, to be honest with you, because of course everybody's heard of Elvis. He was here long before my time. But when I got a little older, I just kept hearing from people like, "Oh man, all Elvis did was steal his music from black people, black people." You know what I'm saying? And they give him no credit. You know what I'm saying? He stole our style and our vibes, and he stole this and that. And I was like, man, that's messed up. I'm tired of people stealing stuff from us. And so I don't know if that's maybe why I wasn't just excited to see this in the theater, but I got around to it. I'm glad I did. Just if you did not know, this has been nominated for 8 nominations, 8 categories. We got Best Actor from Austin Butler, Best Film Editing, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, Best Production Design, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, and Best Sound. And we're going to talk about, if we feel it deserves all of that. And, this is our opinion, it's all subjective. But I will say this off. I don't know. I'm going to let you go first this time. Because I don't know if you like this film, bro. I don't know if you hated it. When we was talking about this a number of weeks ago, it was a comment that you made when you texted me about how you was preparing for this or looking up some stuff. And I was like, I bet Malcolm hated this film. And I know you personally and all that stuff. And so I have no idea, bro, where you where you sit with this. So I'm gonna give it to you, man. Elvis, how did you feel about it? Do you
well,
think it deserves all this attention? I'm curious to know, bro. Put it on us.
well, we in the same boat. Of course, my journey started a little bit earlier with my grandmother. Like I always, you a millennial, you didn't help but to hear about Elvis. Like he just was a cultural icon that you couldn't get away from. Everywhere in media, somewhere they would find a way to stick him in, right? Especially with dealing with baby boomers, right? So, but my grandma was always my whole life was like, we don't mess with Elvis because he's like you said, he stole from black folks and we don't rock with him. All right, whatever. But you can't avoid him. So I didn't have too many expectations. It was I go to the movies every Tuesday and I refuse to go see this the entire time until you said you want to review it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it a chance. And so I did, and so I'm sitting there. And I was like, there's no way all the movies and documentaries they made about Elvis over the years. Like they've played him out to the point where there's nothing interesting that can be said to me as a millennial that I would be like, okay, I want to hear that or that's going to be entertaining. I was wrong. I was sitting there and it felt like I was a kid in a candy store. It was like fantastical. Every couple of seconds, my eyes just got bigger and bigger. I felt like a little kid in the movie theater, and I was blown away. Like everything, right? Now it got its flaws, but like this film was like Elvis for the MTV generation. Like I was thoroughly entertained throughout the entire film, right? Like you said, the colors, the acting. He even plays a better version than what I imagined Elvis would be, a cooler version. I was like, oh wow, okay, that's why I wish Elvis was. Maybe I'll be more interested. So I mean, it's like I said, it's some flaws in the film. It's not perfect. I got some questions about it, things I want to discuss with you, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah, man. I echo pretty much everything you said, bro. I was like, some like I said, I went to this bias, and it was from another creator that kind of put the ideal in my head, like, oh, this is a bunch of BS. You know, we should boycott this movie. I mean, they didn't say that, but I can kind of sense that that was the attitude that they had. You know, the aura that they were just kind of putting out there in the world, their energy, their spirit, man. But like you, bro, I was wrong. I mean, I'm a sucker for biopics anyway. I really wasn't. No, I wasn't. I wasn't a fan of the Whitney biopic. I don't think it was trash, but I wasn't a fan of it, you know. But I was a fan of Bohemian Rhapsody. That was possibly one of the last ones that I seen, and bro, I was jamming in the theater, like, And I didn't see this in the theater. I saw it at home, but I was jamming too while I was watching this. Probably not as much as Bohemian Rhapsody, maybe just because I wasn't as familiar with a number of the songs. But you know, I still, you know, do remember some Elvis classics, just hearing it, you know, throughout my life growing up, man. But like you said, bro, this gentleman right here, Mr. Austin Butler, he deserves all the attention, all the clout. I mean, he did a great job. Not in the first 20 minutes of this film. Because this is being told through the lens of Tom Hanks, his horrible manager, and that's just another great thing about this movie is that they decided to tell it from his perspective. We all love Tom Hanks, and I'll talk about his performance in a second, but I think that's one of the reasons why it drew me in so much, because it wasn't just the entertainment, you know, him on stage singing songs, making women go crazy, and of course we're going to be talking about that. You know, it was the business side, the dark side, you know, some of the stuff that's behind the scenes that the general public may not be abrupt to. And so I think that enhanced the film by you know, besides the whole production and the costumes and the colors, but the perspective, you know, from his manager Tom Hanks. And so yeah, I think I'm not mad at all these nominations right here. Those, if he doesn't win, I definitely think that he does, or this film, not him, just this film overall deserves all of the recognition, all the accolades, all the attention. And so we do agree there. Now this is being directed by Baz Luhrmann. Are you familiar with him?
So I'm familiar. Now I'll be honest with you. Don't stone me, but I hadn't seen Moulin Rouge and the other film he made.
I got it right here. Let me scroll down, look at this filmography real quick. For this, we got Elvis, The Get
The Great
Down.
Gatsby. I hadn't seen that because it's not my type of film, honestly. But honestly, me viewing this movie has me wanting to go back and watch those movies. Because I'm like, wow, like I'm really entertained visually, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Same
that's
here.
definitely on my list.
Same here. I haven't seen Moulin Rouge either, so yeah, don't stone us in the comment section. But I remember this film, The Great Gatsby, when it was, you know, making its rounds back in 2013, and it looked so great. Everybody was just like, "Man, I can't wait to see this." But well, unless I'm getting this confused with something else, I didn't hear any good things about The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I'm now that I'm thinking that I may be getting that film confused with another one. But actually I think I am. But I haven't seen The Great Gatsby, and so if you know, that was 10 years ago, and so you know, you guys let us know in the comment section if you've seen it, and you know, if you think it's worth our while. And so I look like there was something on the tip of your tongue that you was about to say.
Well, I mean, I didn't hear the best things about the Great Gatsby either, so I just wasn't, interested. But this definitely has piqued my interest, and I'm definitely going to be checking out his old films as well. So
Right on. Now, one thing I will say, man, like you said, you know, you was having your grandmother was like, you know, hey, we don't F with Elvis, you know, he stole our stuff. To be honest with you, man, I think they did a pretty good job of showcasing how he did get all of his talents and motivations and, you know, ideas from black people. I mean, that was sewn in through a lot of the film, all the way from when he was a little child. And of course, this story is telling him from a small child and growing up, and it's a long movie. It's about 2 hours and 40 minutes. And so they explored a lot of that in the first act of the film, but even in the second and third act, they were still able to go back to his childhood, to where he was getting a lot of his inspiration from black people. And I like that. Some of it was a slight corny. You know, when he
they
was in
pushed
the
it.
tent and, you know, he was, you know, getting the Holy Spirit, and, you know, I was just like, that was a little cringe. But you know, there's going to be, if you have a nearly 3 hour movie, there's going to be some things that, you know, may not be executed to the best of his abilities. But other than that, man, I really didn't, have any qualms with it, man. What about you?
Well, I think that I like that too, right? Because you always have that fear, right? Because you conditioned to think he stole black music, right? So they definitely showed, okay, this is where he got the music from. This is where his influence was. He wanted to be on Bill Street. I got that. I love that. He's dealing with BB King. He's admiring him, and Miles Davis. Like, this is amazing.
Little
I think,
Richard in there.
but this is a fantastical film in the sense of it's surreal, and so it just feels like they might have overcorrected. Like, this is a reimagining of how Elvis might have been with these black folks. And I just feel like he was just this nice guy who just loved black music. But I just feel like it might be some more nuance in there that we're not getting from this film, right? I think it's something that was left out here.
You're probably right, man. This did seem like the best of, like he was a perfect angel, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, some people may not have any criticisms unless they know the real story that everything didn't cover. But I just grew up not really effing with Elvis like that. I mean, I wasn't hating on him, but I just really wasn't like, oh, Elvis is my guy. So this film right here was a great introduction, to his character and like what he was about. And I mean, I really liked it, just even from the beginning where Tom Hanks's character discovered him on the radio, like, oh my God. They got this black guy that's going to be on the hayride down there in town playing this song. And he's like, they're not going to put a Negro or a colored man on the hayride. And it's like, oh, he's not. This is a white boy. And his antennas went off, and I found that fascinating. I am a big sucker for montages, Malcolm. This movie had about 76 montages in this film to help tell the story. And it was great. And I never got tired of it, because the way that they edited the film as well was top notch, especially at the very beginning. Tom Hanks's character was in the hospital. He had like a nightgown, or not a nightgown, but a hospital gown on. And like in one part of the screen, there was like a stage, but the other part, it was a casino. And like the way they tied and edited all that together, with him narrating over himself, acting on screen as well. Like, I just thought that was superb, man. And they kept doing it over and over and over and over in the film. And, that kept your attention, because
it kept you. It was very visually appealing for sure. I'm like, okay, I don't, the movie was great. I liked the movie, but it was like, you didn't want to get up because it just was like eye candy, right? Like, you just did not want to leave your seat.
Yeah. Now, and again, I wasn't even feeling this dude's Austin Butler's performance as well, because he wasn't saying much. It was from the perspective of Tom, and it was like, it took like a long time for us to get like a shot of his face. He was always in the background.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay, is the whole thing going to be from Tom? But no, I mean, I remember pressing pause and was like, okay, this is around the 20-minute mark where he's finally talking, and, we're actually getting to know him. And, he's a likable character, the way he got along with everybody, he kind of, had an attitude with certain people, his spouse and all that later on. Nobody's perfect, but the acting for this, even Tom Hanks' character, got better and better and better, especially towards the end. I can see where he's getting the best nominated actor or best lead actor for this film is when he wanted to depart from Tom Hanks' character as a manager. And he was in his room and started flipping tables, like, I'm not going back to him. I was like, whoa, shit. That's some good ass acting right there. I really do like that, man. I really do like
gave,
that.
Elvis some justice. Did Elvis some justice here, man. Like I told you, he's a more, because we saw videos as young people of Elvis. You couldn't escape it, but this is a better version. Like, this is literally a reimagining of Elvis's life. Even with the Colonel, like, you talk about the first 20 minutes, it's like, we have to make sure that we see Elvis as a victim here. Like, I like the Ray type of autobiographies and biographies where it's like, okay, let me hear about the cheating, let me hear more about the drug usage, like, and they touched upon those things, but it was like very soft,
right,
very cartoony almost,
right.
Like, so again, it worked for what it is, but I know better, you know what I mean? And I'm just curious what another version of Elvis might look like.
I am too, man. Yeah. I am too. I don't know how many other documentaries or films or television shows or shorts or whatever about Elvis, but I am curious, And the thing is I mean, it's being nominated and pretty much everybody liked it as well. I mean, 77% of the critics liked it, got a 94 audience score. 389 is a decent amount of reviews, over 10,000 for the audience. And so, you know, if there is something, if this is a fantasized version of Elvis, you know, I don't think anybody else out there is complaining, because I think that percentage will be down. But I could be wrong. And, you know, a decent amount of people did see it as well. I mean, it made $287 million worldwide off of an $85 million production budget. So, you know, it's a great thing that it was profitable as well. But, you know, the amount of money a film makes doesn't, you know, translate to how good or bad it is. But let me focus on Mr. Tom Hanks here with all the makeup and the whatever fat suit he had on. You know, like how did you feel about that? Did you like his character? Did you hate it? You know, how did you feel about Mr. Tom Hanks?
I don't think we were supposed to really like him like that, because I mean I know that because it was like a lot of
Well,
prosthetics, right? Fat suit.
the performance. Yeah,
It was,
he was a monster. Of course, we're not supposed to like him, but how'd you feel about the performance?
it was all right. It wasn't the best of Tom Hanks. He's been better before. But again, I think he was the way he was directed, right? So he just was almost like a cartoon character, like you know what I mean? Like
Oh my gosh, yes,
yeah.
yes.
So it was overdone. Even the costuming was over the top, right? So, but that's what we were supposed to take from that. Elvis is, you know, the perfect person. He's nice, he's sweet, and he loved black people, and he loved music, and like this evil dude who like Mr. Penguin coming and trying to take out his money. You know what I mean?
right. That's
Yeah.
funny. I hated his performance at first. I thought it was horrible. At first, I was like, yo, this is Tom Hanks here. Why y'all doing him like this? You know, just like he trying to do this little accent. Like, why couldn't you get somebody else that talked a little bit more naturally? And, you know, this makeup, it just, I don't see the character. I just don't at first. I was like, I just see Tom Hanks, you know, in a suit that looks kind of silly, Colonel Tom Parker. I even like the fact that we got a little bit more backstory of him. Like he's not a citizen for any country. You know, no, I think they said something like no birth certificate, and you know, towards the end, you know, I think they said like a few years after Elvis died, the truth really came out of who he was. I found that fascinating, and I wish they would have dived into that a little bit more. You know, but this is about Elvis. But you know,
Right.
that was still, I mean, that was extra that we didn't even ask for. So you know, I just kind of look at it as a bonus, you know, not like a slight or, you know, taken away just because we didn't get more. But I do like that addition of that. So yeah, early on, I was like, what are they doing with Tom here? You know, this is trash. But as the film progressed on, you know, I like this film. I like this film. I like this performance more and more. And it was all real captivating, man. And so yeah, you know, that's all I got to say there. But you said it's not. It has its flaws, and you have some questions, and you know
Well, I
some
mean, you
things you
you
want
just
to
brought out one
address.
of them, right? Like Tom Hanks. I feel like that was. It reminds me of. I don't want to bring up another movie right now, but he he could have been directed a little bit better. But again, maybe this was on purpose, right? It just was so cartoony to me. It wasn't the best of Tom Hanks. They probably could have had someone that could have been better for this role, but maybe someone they didn't have the same star power, right? So I
Hmm.
think that might have been a trade off for them because this definitely wasn't the correct. I don't think it was a correct casting. I
Right.
mean, it depends on how you look at it, right? Because I mean, Tom Hanks is known for the voice of one of the most popular, you know, cartoons of all time in Toy Story. So it's like again, it's cartoony, but at the same time, this is not his best work. It didn't bring out the best Tom Hanks, right?
Right.
So,
I
but
agree
again,
there.
I feel like there was a part of the way he was directed. Like we want to look at him like that. Like this is a bad guy, but not like he's killing and murdering prostitutes, but like literally like he's just a cartoony bad guy. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
over the top. His acting's over the top, but it just didn't do what they paid Tom. I mean, his name alone probably attracted people because I wasn't going to be interested in Elvis at all if it wasn't for Tom Hanks. So it got me in the
Oh
theater,
wow. Okay.
or
Okay.
to watch it. But so maybe that was a part of the pool, right?
Okay. I got you. I didn't even learn. Like I just really wasn't effing with this movie. I didn't really. I don't think I even remember Tom Hanks in the trailers and previews because you know, I just didn't want to see it or just wasn't that motivated to. And so that was just like, oh yeah, Tom Hanks is in this movie. I forgot. And so that's interesting. How did you feel about the depiction of the real life black people, like BB King, Little Richard, and yeah, there was a few others. We got BB King being played by Kelvin Harrison Jr. Again, like as talked about towards the beginning of this review, They did shine some light on black people, and even though their roles was a bit brief, I liked it. I liked it. I did. How did you feel about them?
I mean, really, they were just like arm pieces. They were to make Elvis look a certain way. I mean, it was fun to see them because you don't expect them to get that praise in these films. But I mean, it wasn't like they didn't dive deep into the characters, anything like that. So, but I appreciate them being there. It really
Yeah,
kind of reinvigorated me too. Like, oh, Elvis was cool with this dude and that dude. Like, you just know, oh, he stole back black music, but you don't know like who he was connected with, and maybe there's more to the story. Maybe it wasn't so black and white like that. Maybe he you know just
right.
singing black music because he loved it.
And I'm also just impressed with how much they was able to squeeze in. I mean, this is not a 90-minute movie. It's nearly nearly 3 hours, 2 hours
3 hours.
and 40 minutes. But they were still able to, cram so much in without it feeling overstuffed. Excuse me, without it feeling overstuffed. I mean, we got a ton of his childhood, teenage years, young adulthood, going from this business, music, being taken advantage of an Elvis, trying to go, tour around the world, and that was being thwarted to him turning into a movie star, his relationships. They were able to put a lot into this movie. I really do feel like this was just a great biography, of this popular icon, from decades ago. And you can't do that. I mean, every director, everybody in Hollywood is not going to be able to, put this together. This took a lot of skill and talent, for the director to do that. And so I think he should really be proud of himself because I was amazed by that, of how much information we was getting, And so what other questions that you have, or criticisms or anything?
I was thinking about this because I was last year. I was at the Country Music Museum in Nashville, and they have a pretty big Elvis exhibit there. And I was curious because like you're looking at this and you're like, okay, like he's enamored with black music, gospel, and then blues, and then jazz, whatever. But like you don't really see the country influence, and I'm just curious how country music fans might feel about the film because it's like
Mm.
kind of erases them, right? And that's pretty interesting. Or when I went into the Country Music Museum, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. They're trying to take Elvis because he was such a big star and like use him because he was in Tennessee or whatever. But like, is he really just like black music, or is it like did he have some fusion or something? Are they just trying to use his name, right? So I'm curious, like from a real historical perspective, like how much of his influence was country, music, right? So I'm curious
Right.
about that. And also, I think again with the black folks, they might have overcorrected. I just don't. I feel like there was more to the story. Like I would love to think of Elvis as just like loving, being a fan of BB King and gospel music and Mahalia Jackson. You know what I mean? And
Right.
being in a civil rights movement. Like I'm like, okay, I think that was a little bit forced. But again, this was a fantastical, cartoony rendition of Elvis, so I get it. But it's like I don't think that he was feeling, that sad about these black folks dying and all this kind of stuff. But
You're
it was a
probably
fun watch
right.
regardless.
You're probably right. Could be wrong. I don't want to come to any conclusions, because if that was true, maybe we would have heard different stories growing up. And so because I know you're deep and rich in your history, and so you are one of the people that would know. I would, hey, yeah, I would go to you. Hey, Michael, what do you think about this? Da 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 da. That's kind of why we're doing this review right here. And so, but also on top of all of that, man, the film is also funny. This dude had a lot of haters. They didn't like him gyrating and shaking his pelvis and making all the white women all excited and down in the downstairs. And I found that hilarious. But I did not know that they were trying to boycott this guy and have him arrested and all of that. This is all new information for me. Like, I was able to pick up a ton. And like you said, man, he was able to perform his ass off. He like you said, he probably did better than the real Elvis. You know what I'm saying? And so I wouldn't know. I haven't checked out old recordings of his shows or performances or anything, but I like that too, man. That was pretty dope. I can tell this, unless he just had it in him. He did his homework, Mr. Austin Butler, and trying to depict this and get all the mannerisms down. Because from the little bit that I do remember, he kind of knocked it out the park with all the mannerisms and characteristics
Yeah,
and stuff.
even the singing on stage, like maybe some of it was real, but like it was like okay, it was believable for sure.
Yeah,
You felt that when he was made his return with the black leather on. I'm like, oh okay,
yeah,
okay, because
yeah,
we've
yeah.
all seen those pictures of Elvis, right? And it's like okay,
Right.
this is this is how it felt. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right,
So
right, right. And I'm thinking about it more and more, man. Like this did seem like a fantasy because I remember just a little bit hearing, this and there at growing up about Elvis, but I just don't remember liking him as much as I liked him in this film. So that's just it probably is a correction, but that maybe that's why this rating on Rotten or more people didn't like it. I mean, 77 is still damn good. But it is interesting. I really can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say in the comment section of this review. Let us know in the chat, in the comments. This is pre-recorded, of course, being premiered. I haven't checked out any other reviews for this, but I'm definitely going to. There's a few people that in particular, I don't want to name them, that I'm going to see what they had to say about this. But this was a fascinating surprise to me, sir. A fascinating surprise. I'm really glad I've seen this. And it's some films you can see one time and like that was a great movie, but I never want to see it again. But that's not the case with Elvis. If I had cable and I was flipping through the channels trying to find something to watch and I came across this, I'm like, hey, let me let this ride for a little bit, at least enjoy the song choices, and all the colors like we spoke about. But yeah, this was a good time for me, man. This was a good time.
oh yeah, I was utterly shocked in a great way, right? Super fun watch. Like I said, Elvis for the MTV generation. Now I get it, like why he was such a superstar or
Hmm.
iconic superstar.
Right.
Of course, this is a fantastical reimagination, so there might be some things left out. It might be some more color to make us just like Elvis a little bit more, which is fine. It felt like the same way I felt when I watched Big Fish for the first time. It just like, your eyes get big and you're like, wow, this is a great world that he's in. One of the quotes I remember, I wrote this down. Like he said, "I'm so tired of playing Elvis Presley. Too many people are relying on me." And like I felt that. Like this dude had this Austin did a great job as Elvis, not just the acting but the singing. I mean, there was some issues I felt with the direction when they had the dramatic scenes.
Hmm.
Like the characters are kind of cardboard to me, and it's like it just kind of slowed down the pace a little bit. With his wife and with his mother. But again, I mean, it's just checked all the boxes. They showed the poverty, they showed race, they showed segregation, a lot of drugs, even though it wasn't like hardcore like I might like to see on film, but like all the boxes are checked. I think this would be interesting for a millennial audience who like us, like who were taught that we shunned Elvis for stealing black folks' music. Again, it might be overcorrected, but it's still a fun watch nonetheless. The Colonel,
Yeah.
he's cartoony, but it works for the story in the story world. I'll put it like
Right.
that. He wasn't
I
the
got you.
best of Tom Hanks, but I accept it because it drew me into the movie, right? So,
Right on.
uh,
Rating.
this is a 9 out of 10. Fun all the way around. It's not perfect. The ending of it left me yearning, and I was like, okay, we've been here for almost 3 hours. I get it. Go ahead and fly off into them clouds and put some words on the screen.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't like that. I just feel like he was so big of a character that he deserved a grander exit. But then, they kind of made it up with the Elvis, the when he was singing at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you felt that, like, okay, this might
Right.
be the end. You just felt that, and then he was singing from his soul, right? But
Hmm.
I still feel like it should have been a more grand situation than that. But I get it. It's a fantastical, not it's grounded in reality, but it's not realistic. So him just going off to the clouds and we never hear from him again,
Yeah.
whatever. I can live with it in this film, but it's 9 out of 10 for me.
I got you. I'm gonna give it the same rating. I give it a 9 out of 10 as well, echoing everything you said. If we're looking at all 10 of the best nominated for all 10 films that are nominated for Best Picture, at the time of this recording, I have seen all of the films except for the Banshees of Inisherin and also Woman Talking. Now, by the time y'all see this video, I would have seen it, but at the time of this recording, I have not. I've only seen 8 out of 10. But I will say now, though, if Elvis wins Best Picture, I won't be upset.
Not at all.
I won't be upset. I'm not saying it should win.
It's in my
Um,
top three.
yeah, it's yeah, it is definitely top, but I still got to see those other two films. Like I don't like when there's 10 films nominated and someone's only seen one or two of them, and they're like, "This should have won." Like you only seen a fraction of them. But anyway, and so yeah, man, me and Malcolm was both blown away by this. Well, actually, I wanna we were both blown away, shocked by this. We really enjoyed it. We think you should too. Again, if you do want an audio only version of this, check it out. Links in the description with buzzsprout.com. Also, check out Creed 3, Cocaine Bear, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Spoilers Review Part 1. And also, last review that me and Malcolm did was actually Black Panther Wakanda Forever Spoilers Review Part 2. But we also did Marcel and the Shell. Marcel the Shell with shoes. That's the biggest
shoes
tongue.
on, yeah.
There you go. That's the biggest tongue twister ever in life. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe, all that good stuff. If you do subscribe, you're gonna get movie reviews, spoiler movie reviews, series reviews, a weekly movie news roundup show, Bel Air season 2, Snowfall season 6, trailer reactions, interviews, fresh out of the theater reactions. And make sure you come back on Monday, March the 13th, 6 p.m. CST. I'm going to be going live covering all of the winners, all the losers for the Oscars. And of course, I can't do that on March 12th because that is the Oscars. But make sure you subscribe and come back, share the video, chop it up in the comment section. I would love to talk with you about this film. But guys, again, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery, that's Malcolm, and that's just our opinion. Peace out, and we'll see you next time.